The most impressive series of landscapes I've ever seen.
I'm really excited to see Loch Ness.
The whiplash from the weather here.
Our tour guide is like super cool.
I think I figured something out. So our day trip to the Highlands began bright and early, and it took no time at all for there to be beauty outside of the fan window. We had heard a lot about the Scottish Highlands over the years. If you're not too familiar with them, what you're seeing now is beautiful, yes, but it gets so much more impressive. So you're gonna wanna stick around later in the video to see all of the stuff that we got to see and experience. But regardless, we had high hopes, high expectations, and we were eager to see if they delivered. And so after a little bit of time, we finally arrived at the first destination. So our first stop of the day was to this beautiful woodland area near the town of Glencoe. I believe this particular location is called the Hermitage. Extremely gorgeous greenery, forest, kind of the likes of which we hadn't seen since the very beginning of the trip, actually, back in Ireland. We learned about the Scottish botanist David Douglas, after whom a lot of these trees, the Douglas firs, is named. We learned a lot on this day, way more than we could ever recall after so many months now. But that said, we do want to shout out this man right here. This is Owen. He was our tour guide. The company, by the way, is Scotland's Wild. Not affiliated with them in any way, but that was a fantastic tour. Scotland's Wild. If you want to do anything with us, send us on some trips. We'd love to go. Anyway, back to Owen though. Owen is one of those tour guides who doesn't just deliver the information in a very dry way. He made it all interesting. He was so amiable, and he's truly passionate about what he does. He's passionate about history. He has an Instagram and a TikTok where he's constantly posting, beautiful shots from the various tours that he gives. So I just want to give him a little shout out right now. You can follow him on Instagram at Owen_Scotlands_wild. I think the TikTok is the same. He was great, and he was a big Lord of the Rings fan. So he's got that nerdy side, which I really clicked with. Lauren loved talking to him. Overall, just fantastic experience. Thank you so much, Owen.
So we're getting ready to wrap up the first stop of the trip, which is in this beautiful area, and it's been awesome. We love the people that we're with. Our tour guide is super cool. I don't know, I'm happy. Are you happy? Yeah,
it's strange because, well, one, we haven't been in this kind of nature since Ireland.
Yeah.
So we're talking over 2 months ago. And it's that bizarre thing of the way that we've been traveling where, 3 days ago, we were standing in the Temple of Poseidon, or not in the Temple of Poseidon, but we were standing next to the Temple of Poseidon.
Yeah, with the
Cape
ocean.
St. Ian with the ocean all around us. 4 days ago, we were standing atop Acropolis.
And not even a week ago, we were at the Colosseum.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So far, this is a great trip. Already would recommend.
And we've only just started. We've already gotten plenty of, stories. We've gotten plenty of information. We just heard a story about that little structure back there, which was a summer house that used to be built of glass until people got frustrated with taxes and they destroyed it, and now it is built in stone.
So it looks like next we're gonna stop at a gas station for a wee and then head on to the next place.
Indeed, as Lauren mentioned, after a few hours of exploring, it was time for a wee. And so we made our way to what was described to us as a pretty posh service station. But I just want to point something out. As you can see, this is the view that we had out our window the whole time, right? It wasn't like we were just on some day trip going from place to place without much to see in between. Yes, the weather was a bit hit or miss, but oddly enough, just like in Edinburgh, Scotland has this thing where bad weather seems to kind of have its own beauty. Regardless, we made our way to the service station, but we weren't able to go inside and do anything because there was no power.
there's a storm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we didn't give any context, but there was a massive storm that swept through.
Like hurricane type of storm that has its own name.
Yeah.
And we still don't have our luggage. That's kind of in the back of my mind. I'm hoping that we'll still get that tonight. But anyways, we're gonna find another way to use the loo.
Yeah, because no power in this service station. But apparently it's super posh. I mean, if you're gonna have a service station, it's not a bad view. Not a bad view may have been one of the biggest understatements I've ever made. I mean, this next stretch of the trip was jaw-dropping. It was literally every 5 minutes, the shape of the terrain was changing. You had everything from rivers to lochs, you had forest, you had open land, you had mountains with snow, you had sunshine, you had some rain, all of it. It was just like every few minutes was a dramatically different thing to look out and see. Okay, so we are here in Loch Ness, Caledonian Canal, Fort Augustus area. And I just want to say, hand on heart, the landscapes that we saw in the last 90 minutes from that service station until we got here was the most impressive series of landscapes I've ever seen. I mean, Athens was incredible in a different way. Athens had this sort of ethereal feel where you felt like a mortal that was plucked by the gods and put in like this godlike landscape. This was more like feeling connected. This was like landscapes that you're grounded in, but every 10 minutes it completely changed. Like we said on the voiceover, it just had everything. I mean, I was speechless the whole time. It was a bit unfortunate that Lauren and I both suffer from motion sickness, but I still sort of was able to be fully engaged with it. There were some moments where Lauren looked like this, and I felt really bad because that's just the way that some of these transportation things have gone with her. But regardless, we just had food. We have very limited time here because of a late start with the tour. Nobody's fault, just weather stuff delayed some people getting there. So we're gonna go see Loch Ness, take it in, and then it'll be back and on to, I believe Glencoe is gonna be our next stop.
Yeah, I definitely don't like missing out on some of the landscape, but when you feel like they're gonna throw up at any moment, you just gotta do what you gotta do. But I'm still able to see a lot of it here and there, but yeah, sometimes that Dramamine just is not enough. It is what it is, but I'm really excited to see Loch Ness. Still can't believe that Jacob nicknamed Nessie after the Loch Ness Monster, but I'm really glad to be here.
Oh, so she cut me off there, but I was going to say that's her little nerdy reference, right? I make the Harry Potter references, such as, did you know that the Loch Ness Monster in Harry Potter lore is actually a Kelpie? So that's very interesting. I'll end the Harry Potter references here. Regardless, I just think it's a fun little fact that the Loch Ness Monster is an actual magical creature. Anyway, so we are going to go see Loch Ness. This is the canal, I believe. Caledonian Canal. Hope I got that bit of information right. It's very, when you go on these little tours and things, it's very sort of information dense, and you're sort of distracted at times and off in other areas, so you miss bits of information if you get away from the group. But yeah, I mean, honestly, Scotland is incredible. And there's no exaggeration there. Scotland, Edinburgh was up top of the list. And then we come out and we see more of Scotland. And it's not just some hills or some mountains. It is everything that we just saw on the way here. And what's funny too is that Owen said, oh yeah, later in the day is when you'll start getting the really impressive landscapes and things, the most impressive views. And I'm just thinking how do you top this? We literally went by a loch with like huge mountains in the background of different, a bunch of different colors. And there was a rainbow that you saw, right? A rainbow just coming down into the water. I don't even know. It was another pinch me moment for the trip. We were standing on the banks of Loch Ness. Unfortunately, nobody's fault. It was the fault of Storm Jocelyn, delaying 2 people of our group who came from Glasgow. So we lost an hour at the start of the trip. That hour was supposed to be dedicated toward taking a boat and exploring Loch Ness further. Unfortunately, that didn't get to happen, but we still got to see it. And even though this part of the trip was a bit rushed, this is still a memory that we'll have forever. And now back we go. It's crazy, by the way, the whiplash and the weather here. We've literally seen it start and stop raining about 10 times just in this first half of the day. But I think I figured something out. I think that the reason that the weather isn't maybe the greatest in Scotland is because if it had amazing weather, it just wouldn't be fair to the rest of the world. To have, gorgeous cities like Edinburgh, to have incredible landscapes like the Highlands. If you had the weather that we had in Athens, it would, in gaming terms, it would be OP, right? It would be overpowered. It'd be too much. It wouldn't be fair. As it happens, though, it's very cold. And there's been a lot of rain. So there's that. So as we were making our way to the next destination, Owen pointed out a very interesting fact that I can't tell you why it's relevant. It'll be relevant in a few years from now, but here it is.
Technically, no trespassing laws. So if you are respectful to the land, if you are, not burning the land down or damaging livestock or gates for livestock or just generally leaving rubbish anywhere, 9 times out of 10, apart from in the Trossachs and the Loch Lomond National Park, you can camp or make your way or walk anywhere you would like. So that's why, again, Scotland is very popular with people who like wild camping, who just take everything with them and just set up a tent wherever they want. Because even though if you camp on farmland or what have you, there is no law that says you can't do that. So theoretically, you could actually set a tent up in somebody's back garden in Edinburgh, and they couldn't get rid of you with a trespassing law. Obviously, the police would be called, and you would be arrested for stalking or something like that, but there's no trespassing law.
Yeah, sorry to be so cryptic. I have secrets that I have to keep, but that will become relevant sometime in the future. But back to this day and this trip, we passed through, or I guess around, Fort William on our way to the next location. Owen pointed out that the famous viaduct from the Harry Potter films that the Hogwarts Express travels on is about 15 miles, I think he said, away from Fort William. Would have been cool to see, but there's always a future trip or two. So all too soon, with more gorgeous sights out the window, we found ourselves arriving at the next place, the Three Sisters viewpoint in Glencoe. And this was probably the highlight of the day for us, because look at this place. Unfortunately, the video will never be able to capture the true size or scope of this viewpoint, but we felt so small standing in it, the wind just rushing at us. But we do have to point out that as beautiful as this place was, it has some hazards. It was pretty dangerous. Be safe. And so after our time in Glencoe, it was back to the van and on to the next location. And on the way, Owen lifted our spirits with lovely tales of the Glencoe massacre, the MacDonald clan. Yeah, kind of grim stuff, but you know, it's history, and it was very, very interesting. But this place here is the last untouched wilderness in Scotland. Nothing will ever be built here, and I believe Owen said it stretches to Perthshire, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time, sorry guys. You can see that the weather here didn't look too bad. I mean, it was definitely very wet. You have melted snow, it had probably rained earlier. But, well, we were up here for 5 minutes, and within that span of time, we had hail pelting us on the way back. The wind picked up out of nowhere. It was pretty insane. So the van was a nice refuge. And then we made our way back to Edinburgh, and even in the darkness, the silhouettes of the mountains looming there, such an awe-inspiring sight. I just love watching it. I'm just staring at it right now as I'm supposed to be talking. But nevertheless, we learned quite a bit more on the long ride back to Edinburgh, and that was it. The day trip was over, and we were back walking around the city that we love so much, just sort of soaking in everything that had happened on this incredible, incredible day. Okay, so we're back at the hotel now, and we got an email that our backpacks were delivered, so fingers crossed that they have them in there.
Yeah, let's see.
A few moments later.
Our backpacks from the airport should have been delivered today. I wanted to see. They're like a green backpack and a blue green one.
Oh, thank you.
We've been just 3 months or so.
3 months.
Yeah.
Most people come for one night and bring a suitcase bigger than this.
Oh my god, no.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Normally, like, we would have just trusted that our backpacks would get here, but with the storm, we had no idea when they would come, if the storm was going to impact that. So it's even greater that they got here on time. When the storm today shut down, I think some flights were canceled or delayed, and the trains were completely stopped. So we're very happy. We're back here at the hotel. I think we're gonna just Uber Eat something for dinner, and then tomorrow is going to be quite a fun day because we're doing something in the morning that's kind of crazy.
You'll find out in the next video what that is. I'm nervous about it, but I'm excited about it. Yeah, I think I don't even know if we should put it in the coming up thing. They should just find out. Just tune in the next video and you'll find out. It's no less impactful the second time.
We were like being responsible back then.
This was actually very fortuitous.
So our train did get canceled.